story time with any Gina.
In the heart of a small, unassuming town named Umuzi, there existed a hair salon unlike any other. It wasn't the size or the decor that set it apart, nor the quality of the products used. What made this salon unique was its owner, Yasha, and the peculiar rule she enforced with unwavering strictness. No mirrors, or anything with a reflective surface, were allowed within its walls. This curious decree puzzled many, but the lore of Yasha's extraordinary hair braiding skills kept customers coming back. Yasha's salon was a haven for those seeking beautifully braided hair in record time. Her hands moved with a speed and precision that seemed almost otherworldly. What would take other stylists hours, if not days, to accomplish, Yasha could do in under an hour. Her reputation spread far and wide, drawing clients from neighboring towns and even cities. However, from the moment a customer entered her salon, Yasha would sternly warn them of the one rule that must be adhered to without exception. No mirrors were allowed inside. It wasn't merely a suggestion or a preference. It was a command. Yasha herself would inspect bags, purses, and even pockets, ensuring that no reflective objects were brought in. Those who didn't comply were turned away, no matter how desperate they were for her services. The rule was odd, but the results were undeniable. Clients left Yasha's salon with perfectly braided hair, often marveling at how quickly the work had been done. The mystery of the no mirror rule faded into the background, overshadowed by the allure of Yasha's skills. But the question lingered. Why did Yasha insist on this strange rule? One bright morning, a young woman named Adu decided to visit Yasha's salon. She had heard tales of the miraculous speed at which Yasha could braid hair and was eager to see it for herself. Adu had a busy schedule and little patience for the long hours typically spent in a salon chair. Yasha's reputation was exactly what she needed. As Adu stepped into the salon, she was immediately struck by the atmosphere. The walls were adorned with traditional art, and the scent of hair oils and incense filled the air. But what caught her attention most was the stern expression on Yasha's face as she approached her. "Please check your belongings," Yasha instructed. "No mirrors, no reflective surfaces. It's the rule here." Adu, unaware of the rule, fumbled through her bag as Yasha watched closely. Satisfied that Adu wasn't carrying anything for goodness, Yasha gestured for her to sit. But just as Yasha was about to begin braiding, Adu remembered the small compact mirror she always kept in her pocket. She pulled it out to show Yasha the style she desired. But the moment the mirror caught the light, Yasha's demeanor changed. Her face twisted in fear and anger as she shouted, "Get rid of that! How dare you bring a mirror into my salon?" Startled, Adu quickly tossed the mirror aside, apologizing profusely. She had no idea why the mirror had caused such a reaction, but the look in Yasha's eyes was enough to silence any questions. Adu sat quietly as Yasha's fingers flew through her hair, braiding it with an almost supernatural speed. When Adu left the salon, her hair was perfect, just as she had hoped. But the incident with the mirror haunted her. Why was Yasha so afraid of it? What could be the reason behind such a bizarre rule? A few weeks later, a woman named Zuri arrived in Umuzi. Zuri was known for her adventurous spirit and insatiable curiosity. She had heard whispers about Yasha's salon and the strange no-mirror rule. Intrigued, she decided to experience it for herself. Zuri's arrival at the salon was met with the same stern instructions from Yasha, but unlike others, Zuri questioned the rule. "Why can't I use a mirror in your salon?" Zuri asked. "How will I see what you're doing to my hair?" Yasha's response was curt. "You don't need to see. I always get the hairstyle right. If you can't follow the rule, then I won't braid your hair." Zuri was taken aback by Yasha's firmness. Deciding not to press further, she left the salon without having her hair done. But her curiosity had been piqued. There had to be more to this rule than Yasha was letting on. Determined to uncover the truth, Zori began asking around town. Most people had no idea why Yasha enforced such a rule. They only knew that she did, and that it was best not to question it. However, Zori's inquiries eventually led her to an elderly woman who was rumored to have a deep understanding of the spiritual world. The woman lived in a small house on the outskirts of Umuzi. When Zori explained her curiosity, the woman listened intently, her eyes narrowing as she considered the story. Yasha's rule is not just a quirk, the woman said gravely. It's a matter of life and death. The elderly woman, who introduced herself as Nana, invited Zori into her home. The air inside was thick with the scent of burning herbs, and the walls were lined with shelves filled with strange arcane objects. Sit down, child, Nana instructed, motioning to a worn chair by the fireplace. I will tell you what I know, but be warned, the truth is not an easy burden to bear. Zori's heart pounded as she took her seat. The atmosphere was heavy with anticipation. Nana began her story. Many years ago, Yasha's mother was desperate. She had tried for years to have a child but was unsuccessful. In her desperation, she sought the help of a dark spirit, one known for granting wishes, but always at a terrible cost. Zori listened spellbound as Nana continued. The spirit promised Yasha's mother that she would bear a child, but there was a condition. When the child grew, she would become a vessel for the spirit, and her hands would be used to braid the hair of countless women. This was no ordinary braiding. The spirit would gain strength from touching the hair of others through Yasha's hands. And there was one more stipulation: no one must ever see the spirit's work reflected in a mirror. If they did, Yasha's life would be in danger. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place for Zori. The no mirror rule wasn't just a strange quirk, it was a necessary protection for Yasha, who was unknowingly bound to a dark force. Is there a way to help her? Zori asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nana nodded solemnly. There is a way, but it is dangerous. You must confront the spirit with a special mirror, one that can trap it. But know this: the spirit will not go quietly, and Yasha's life will hang in the balance. Zori left Nana's home with a heavy heart and a deep sense of responsibility. She couldn't ignore what she had learned. Yasha was living under the control of a malevolent force, and Zori knew she had to help, no matter the risk. The next day, Zori returned to Nana's home. The elderly woman had already prepared the special mirror, a small, ornate hand mirror with a surface that shimmered like water under moonlight. Nana handed it to Zori with a grave warning. Use this mirror with care, Nana said. When the spirit realizes what you're doing, it will fight back. You must stay strong, and no matter what happens, do not break the mirror until the spirit is fully trapped. Zori nodded, determination stealing her resolve. She thanked Nana and made her way to Yasha's salon, the mirror carefully concealed in her bag. When Zori arrived at the salon, Yasha greeted her with a mix of surprise and suspicion. You're back? Yasha said cautiously. I am, Zori replied, and I know the truth, Yasha. I know about the spirit. Yasha's face paled, and her hands trembled slightly as she gestured for Zori to enter. How do you know? She whispered, her voice thick with fear. I spoke to Nana, Zori explained. She told me everything. I'm here to help you, Yasha, but you have to trust me. Yasha hesitated, fear and hope warring in her eyes. Finally, she nodded. What do we need to do? Zori took a deep breath and pulled the mirror from her bag. We need to trap the spirit in this mirror. It won't be easy, and it will try to fight back. But if we succeed, you'll be free. Yasha stared at the mirror, her fear palpable. But after a moment, she straightened her shoulders and nodded. Let's do it. The atmosphere in the salon was tense as Zori and Yasha prepared for what was to come. Zori placed the mirror on a small table in the center of the room and instructed Yasha to sit in front of it. We need to lure the spirit out, Zori explained. It will resist, but we have to keep it focused on the mirror. Yasha nodded, her hands clenched tightly in her lap. Zori began to chant softly, repeating the words Nana had taught her. The air in the room grew heavy, and a cold breeze swept through. Despite the closed windows, suddenly the lights flickered, and a low, menacing growl echoed through the salon. The spirit had arrived. Zori continued chanting, her voice steady despite the fear that gnawed at her insides. The mirror began to glow, its surface rippling like disturbed water. Yasha gasped as a dark, shadowy figure materialized behind her, its eyes glowing with malevolent intent. The spirit lunged toward Yasha, but Zori stepped forward, holding the mirror up. The spirit recoiled, hissing in anger as the mirror's light intensified, pulling it closer. "Hold on, Yasha," Zori shouted, her voice strained with effort. "We're almost there." Yasha's eyes were wide with terror as she watched the spirit struggle against the mirror's pull. It shrieked, its voice a cacophony of anger and pain. But Zori held firm. Slowly, the spirit was drawn into the mirror, its form shrinking until it was nothing more than a wisp of shadow. With a final cry, the spirit was sucked into the mirror, the surface of which returned to its original, tranquil state. The room fell silent, the oppressive atmosphere lifting as the spirit was sealed away. Zori lowered the mirror, her hands trembling with exhaustion. Yasha stared at her reflection, a mixture of relief and disbelief on her face. "Is it over?" Yasha whispered. Zori nodded, a tired smile crossing her lips. "It's over, Yasha. You're free." With the spirit trapped, Yasha's salon underwent a transformation. The once oppressive air was replaced with a sense of peace and freedom. Yasha herself seemed lighter, her movements no longer burdened by the unseen force that had controlled her for so long. Word of what had happened spread quickly through Umuzi. Yasha's no-mirror rule was lifted, and she welcomed mirrors back into her salon for the first time in years. Customers returned, not just for her exceptional braiding skills, but also to celebrate the brave woman who had faced a dark force and emerged victorious. Yasha and Zori became close friends, bound by the harrowing experience they had shared. Together, they worked to build a salon that was not only a place of beauty but also a symbol of resilience and strength. As for the mirror, Zori and Yasha took it back to Nana, who buried it deep in the ground, ensuring that the spirit would never escape. Nana's wisdom and guidance had been crucial, and the town of Umuzi came to respect her even more, recognizing her as a protector of the community. Yasha's life was forever changed. No longer isolated or controlled by a malevolent spirit, she found love and companionship, building a life that was truly her own. The salon thrived, and Yasha's reputation grew, not just for her speed and skill but for the strength and courage she had shown. The story of Yasha's salon became a legend in Umuzi, a tale passed down through generations. It served as a reminder of the unseen forces that can shape our lives and the power of friendship and bravery to overcome even the darkest challenges. Yasha never forgot the lesson she had learned. The end.
Thank you for watching. Please click on the subscribe button and the notification button to get notified when we drop new stories. Thank you.